Whether you're already a writer or if you're looking to get into writing online as an extra source of income, then you're going to be looking for potentially different ways you could earn money by writing online. Luckily, there are quite a few. In this video, I'm going to take a look at 5 of the top ones that you can start with without having to go through really any gatekeepers. So the first one, maybe this is the most obvious, but it has to be said. One of the really great ways that you can make money writing online is writing for clients. There's a pretty much infinite number of different publications online that all have a huge need for content, and they've worked out a profitable business model where it makes sense for them to pay a team of writers, whether that's freelance or in-house, to actually create a large volume of content for them every month. So the main way that you can get paid this way is by the word. So if you're a freelance writer, this is pretty standard, and the rates can range from anywhere as low as 3 cents per word up to 10 cents a word and above. So for a 1,500 word post, then that works out as between $45 and $150 per post. So as well as working as a freelance writer for clients, there's also a ton of full-time writing positions available where you're on staff. And typically these involve some other related tasks, like it might be image research or editing other writers' work and things like that. There's so many ways to get freelance writing clients. I'll cover that in a lot more detail in another video, but some of the main ways that you can get clients are freelance sites like Upwork, pitching different publications directly, so basically cold calling or cold emailing them, writing agencies where a publisher will go to them and say, I need to order 10,000 words and I need it done in the next few days. And then they'll go out and actually, with their network of freelance writers, they'll select the best one for the job. And so you can be part of one of those agencies. And also another great way to get clients, once you've got the ball rolling and you've got some clients, then you should start to get some referrals. And that's something that you should also be asking for from your existing clients once you've done a good job. Some of the pros and cons of writing for clients compared to some of the other ways I'm going to cover. So pros, it's really quick to get started. You don't really have to build a site or really do anything. You can just start reaching out to potential clients and asking them if they need help. You can suggest ideas, and you can also apply to jobs on sites like Upwork or through different writing agencies. So it's really quick to get started. There's also very high earning potential. Some freelance writers do earn very large amounts of money once they're able to get into the flow of things, charge those higher rates, and really manage their time effectively. And also another advantage with working for clients like this is that it can grow into other opportunities. So if that is something that you're open to, doing other types of work and finding ways to really add value to the businesses that your clients have, then there are plenty of opportunities out there to do that. And then that's another way to increase your income. Disadvantages. So it can take time to be able to charge higher rates. There's obviously a lot of other people who want to work for clients and write for them. And so it can be competitive, especially when you're first getting started and you don't have a lot of writing samples and case studies and that kind of thing. Also, if you're not the kind of person who likes to manage lots of different relationships, then maybe having lots of clients is going to be a drain and that's going to be difficult for you. So do think about if that's something that you're naturally good at or whether it's a skill that you need to learn. It can also be difficult to take holidays because clients expect you to have a certain volume and availability, and they can always go and find someone else if you're not available. So it can feel like it's difficult to take holidays. And at the end of the day, you're also not really building an asset. Yes, you have your case studies and testimonials and examples of your work, and that does help you get more freelance writing jobs, but it's not an asset that you can actually sell. So the next way that you can earn money as a writer online is by guest posting. So guest posting is essentially writing an article on someone else's site. There's a number of websites that will accept ideas for guest posts. So it's essentially something that you have to pitch, and there are a number of sites who will actually pay if they accept your idea and you write it. So there's 2 main ways to get paid for this: getting paid directly by the site, which is what I just mentioned. So they will say that they accept guest post submissions on their site, and they'll say that they pay within a certain range, or to contact them to ask how much. And so you just need to do that and go through that process. The other way is to work for a SEO company, search engine optimization company. And what they want to do is get posts written on other people's websites so they can get a link back to their clients. And that helps with their clients' websites ranking more highly in Google. And so that's something they're willing to pay for. So it's kind of halfway between guest posting and the previous way of making money, which was working for clients. So pros and cons of guest posting. Well, one of the pros is that it does give you the ability to be proactive in finding new opportunities. So you can go out there and you can look for sites which accept guest posts and those which actually pay to have guest posts written for them. And that's something that you can do whilst you're not writing. And so it does give you that ability to go out and take action when you want more work. Your work is also likely to get read by a large number of readers. So these sites, they're only willing to pay because it makes sense for them. And that typically means that they have quite a large readership. So if you're interested in having your writing read by a lot of people, this is one way to do it. It also builds your reputation as a writer, because if you are able to say that your writing has been featured on, X, Y, or Z fairly famous, well-known website, then that's going to make it easier for you to do other things in the world of writing, like getting clients and things like that. And it can be reasonably well paid as well. The downside is that there's relatively few opportunities to do this compared to some of the other ways to make money as a writer. And it often does involve speculative work. So essentially pitching ideas to websites that they may or may not accept, and you might not even hear back from them. There is another really good opportunity if you do want to publish a book as a writer. And this doesn't involve going through gatekeepers. It is the Amazon Kindle self-publishing program. So like the name suggests, you're able to go ahead and publish a book for Kindle. And it doesn't have to be a huge novel. There's plenty of opportunities to write different nonfiction books, and there is a market for these. To give you a rough idea, by the end of 2020, the ebook industry as a whole generated $6.6 billion in sales. Authors make between $0 to more than $100,000 per year. It does require a strategic approach. So you do need to do a lot of research into the market to see what people are interested in learning about and what kind of sales existing books are doing in that space. So if you write something that's far too niche, then there just won't be a big enough market for it. If you write something that is a bit more strategic in the way that you planned it, then there is a really good potential. What are the pros and cons? Well, there is a very high earning potential. Some self-published authors do earn $150,000 or more a year, but that is relatively rare. A reasonable income is achievable with work. So it's not kind of shooting to become famous kind of thing. For example, there's an author recently that I was reading his blog, and he earns $377 a month with a book that is ranked within the top 20,000 to 30,000 of all books on Kindle. So, and that's priced at $2.99 as well, by the way. So, that is not a huge amount of work that he's done. It's not a huge amount of money, but it is building up that residual income over time. So to give you an idea of what's possible, it can lead to other opportunities as well, because people, even though it's a self-published book, people still recognize the amount of work that's gone into publishing that. So there still is a lot of recognition and trust which is attached to publishing something like that. And so it can lead to a lot of opportunities, whether that's consulting, freelance writing, or any other kinds of things that people want to see expertise in that particular space that you've written about. And it can work really well in combination with other types of earning income as a writer, for example, writing your own blog, because that can work in a virtuous cycle with publishing the books. People come to your website and then buy the book, for example. So some of the downsides are that, a lot of books earn basically no money at all. And so all that time that you've put in, you're not necessarily going to know whether that's actually going to pay off until it's already published. And then it could actually earn zero money whatsoever. So the minimum time investment and number of words that you really need is between 10 to 15,000 words for, I would say, a nonfiction book priced at around $2.99. So that gives you some idea of how long that might take to write. So the next way that you can earn money online as a writer is by creating an authority site. Some people refer to this as a niche site or simply just as blogging. And essentially what you're doing here is you're creating a resource for people who are interested in a particular hobby or problem that they're looking to solve. So that could be gardening, it could be astrophotography, it could be getting a particular kind of job. There's so many things that you could write about. It just needs to be quite focused on that. And that's in order for it to be competitive against larger sites. Which brings me to the next point, which is how does it actually generate money? And the way that this works is that essentially people search for a problem that they have or look for information by searching on Google, and then they find your site. And then when they go to your site, then there's ads on there, or maybe you're selling a course, or maybe they click a link and then they buy a product that you recommend and you get a commission when that happens. So another benefit of doing this is that you're actually, as well as earning an income, you're actually building an asset which can potentially be sold in the future. And these kinds of businesses are typically sold for around 30 to 45 times their monthly revenue. So that gives you an idea of the value of the asset that you're building up. A well-known example of when one of these sites was sold is Martin Lewis's blog, Money Saving Expert, which was sold in 2012 for the equivalent of more than $110 million. So there is a very, very high ceiling to this. Obviously, that's more of an exception, but there is a large number of these kind of sites which do earn a very respectable income and can be sold for a decent amount of money. I've actually created another video looking at some real life examples of these kinds of sites. So I'll put the link in the description to go watch that. So what are the pros and cons of creating an authority site? Well, the advantages are there's a very high income potential. Many sites easily earn six figures. Some earn a lot more than that. There's tons of opportunities to create these sites. If you're interested in something, you get to enjoy the process of learning more about your hobby or your interest and then sharing that with other people. It can be sold as an asset, like I mentioned, for easily around 30 to 45 times the monthly revenue. There's a huge amount of creative freedom because, you're not writing what your client wants you to write. You're writing to some extent what you feel like is the information which should be out there. It does have to align, with what other people are looking for, but you do have a huge amount of creative freedom. And it can grow into a larger business outside of just writing. So if that is something you're interested in, then there's lots of opportunities to, for example, create your own product, create a course, these kind of things. And you're slowly growing the whole business through these different ways. So that's always possible if you're interested in doing that. If not, you can stick to writing. It's also, compared to some of the other ways of making money as a writer, it is also quite a bit easier to take holidays because your site continues to run and generate an income even when you're not directly working on it. That said, there are a number of downsides. So one, it requires quite a bit of technical skill to even get started. You need to have a domain name, a website, hosting, and you need to have some strategic skill in actually understanding whether or not this is something that is going to be at the level of competition that you can deal with. So that means, is there a huge existing website which gets all of the traffic? You also have to be aware of the way that Google understands the different topics and the pros and cons of different topics. For example, if you were going to write a personal finance blog, then typically that's going to be quite hard because Google wants to see that you have some kind of credentials or expertise in personal finance. Same thing applies with medicine. So those tend to be dominated by very, very established sites that have very credible experts writing for them. So things like that are important to know, and you're not necessarily going to know that getting started. So there is quite a bit to learn. Another disadvantage is that it can take a very long time to earn an income, at least a year in most cases. And also, there's no guarantee whether it's going to earn any money at all. You might have picked a niche where there's just not enough people who are actually interested in it to earn an income. You might have also picked an area where it's too competitive and your site just isn't ranking in Google. And also it might be an area where people just aren't willing to spend a lot of money. So the fifth way that you can earn money as a writer online is by joining the Medium partner program. So if you're not familiar with it, Medium is a blogging platform similar to WordPress.com, and it allows anyone to host a blog for free. And if they qualify, then you can get paid to actually write on there. So it's kind of similar to what I was talking about just now with creating an authority site, except it's way simpler to get started and it has much more of a built-in audience. So according to Medium themselves, the highest paying single article in 2020 earned its author about $16,500. So since then, they've actually stopped publishing those statistics. The most that a single author earned in that year was almost $50,000. So as you can see, it's not a crazy amount of money, but it's also a pretty decent amount of money, especially if you're supplementing another income and you're doing this on the side. Similar to blogging, a lot of people do it. Most people don't really make any money. And there are some people who make a pretty sizable amount of money doing it. So obviously this comes down to your strategic approach. It's definitely possible to make that money, but you have to be smart and do the research and find out what's working. With Medium, it's a little bit easier for your articles to get views. People spend time on the Medium platform itself. It's a bit similar to YouTube in this respect, in that people actually browse different articles on Medium. So they don't have to know about your specific website. They will just find it through being recommended by Medium itself. So if you write something good, then it's going to grow in that way as well. So pros and cons of the Medium partner program. Well, the main advantage is that it's super simple to get started. You just sign up for an account, start writing, and once you hit the requirements for joining the partner program, which are pretty reasonable, they do change from time to time, but they're pretty achievable. Once you've done that, then you will start getting paid for people viewing your articles and reading them. So that's the main thing. Compared to setting up your own blog, which has loads of technical stuff you need to learn, this is super simple. There's also a built-in audience, so it's quick to actually start getting people reading your articles. And for a lot of people, that could be motivating to actually know that your work isn't just going out into a black hole. There's zero cost as well, so you don't have to pay hosting fees, buy domains, get backup systems. You don't have to do any of that. It's zero cost to get started. There's a reasonable earning potential, especially if you're strategic, and there's built-in monetization as well. So you don't have to go and find an ad network or find affiliate programs, all this kind of stuff. It's just automatic once you've hit that criteria for joining the partner program. So that said, there are some downsides, and the biggest one for me is that you're dependent on one platform. So they can close your account at any time. So similar to YouTube, this happens from time to time. People spend ages creating a whole YouTube channel, get millions of subscribers, and then they say something or a few things which are against what the YouTube algorithm likes, and then they can get shut down either temporarily as a mistake, and then they have to fight to get it back, or if they're not able to do that, then it's just completely lost, and all that hard work is just gone. Whereas that doesn't really happen when you have your own blog. It is a risk here though. And so they can change their policies. They can just decide for whatever reason that they don't like your blog anymore and it's gone. So that's always a risk. Another downside is that compared to having your own blog, there is a much lower income ceiling. So like I said, with having your own blog, there's many blogs out there which earn 6 figures or more easily, whereas the highest earning author in 2020 on Medium was just around $50,000 a year. So that gives you a sense of what's possible. It's also not going to be a saleable asset. So you're not going to be able to build up something and then sell it like you can with a blog. So these are just some of the ways that you can use to earn money as a writer online. And of course, if you have an AI writing assistant like Writesonic, then that's going to massively speed up the process of writing. And with most of these methods that I've spoken about, the more that you write, the more that you're going to earn. So the faster that you can go through that process and iterate and get more examples of your work if you're doing a freelance writing career, or build up your blog if you're taking that route, the faster and the more money you're going to earn. So hopefully that's a little bit inspiring for you. There are many, many other opportunities to earn money as a writer online. I've focused on the ones which are more to do with writing articles, but you can also look into copywriting for lots of different end uses. And for example, with copywriting for landing pages for clients, you can get paid very, very large amounts of money. So there's plenty more opportunities out there to write, and all of them can be accelerated and made easier using Writesonic. So please do check out our other videos that are going to help you with that process. And thanks for watching this video.